morning, everyone. Welcome. It's my great pleasure to introduce someone who most of you know very well, Pravrajika Prabuddhaprana. She's a senior nun of Sri Math, joined in 1976, and has written many books and travels quite a bit, has been here a number of times, so we're very happy that she could be here. She'll be here until Thursday, and then another short visit in September. So I will let Mataji introduce the topic herself, and again, very happy that you're here.
I'm also happy to be here. I see you over here. The reason my talk didn't appear, the title of my talk didn't appear in your mail or is because I hadn't decided. I was going to speak about meditating in nature, but then I read a book that I wanted to add. The book I received more than 50 years ago when I went to Swamiji's ancestral house for the first time. And I suppose a distant relative of Swamiji's gave me the book by Swamiji's middle brother, Mahendranath. Mahendranath was a prolific writer. He wrote more than 90 books on many, even technical and scientific subjects, and also biographical. But I didn't read the book until on my way here. And then I decided that this looked like an interesting book to read on the plane. So the book was called The Theory of Sound. And though it's dated, it was very interesting in that it brought together some scientific ideas and also some Indian philosophical ideas. And it touched on this subject of nature. So I thought that Sri Ramakrishna in his childhood preferred to meditate outdoors. He meditated in his boyhood and in the mango grove of Manikraja, in Kamarpukur, or in the cremation ground, and later in the Panchavati, in the midst of a jungle in Dakshineshwar. And he often advised his disciples to sit in the Panchavati. Our second president of Sri Ramakrishna Math, Pravrajika Mokshapranaji, used to take the brahmacharinis of the Math to the Panchavati. Every morning they would walk barefoot in the dark to Dakshineshwar and sit in the Panchavati for their meditation. Sadhus and saints traditionally meditate in such places, in jungles or banks of rivers or under trees. And after our sannyasa initiation, we traditionally meditate outside. We don't live indoors at that time. For a period of time, we sit outside only and live outside. And in the night, we will light dhuni fires and meditate outdoors. Sri Ramakrishna said one should meditate mone kone or bone, in the mind, in a corner or shrine of your house, or in a forest. Now, why do sadhus meditate in nature, including caves and such places where there are risks in the midst of wild animals and such. Surely there were insects, snakes, and such places. Nevertheless, they provided a sort of privacy and protection from the interference of people. Nature gives us a sense of connectiveness with the elements and separation from the humdrum of daily life. In nature, primarily, we become aware of different sounds that give us a sense of infinite vastness and a different vibration of sound. Birds chirping, the wind through the trees gives a sense of expansion, increases your sense of joy and well-being. It frees you from your inner environment and its associations. Simply looking at trees has been proven to reduce heart rate and blood pressure. It reduces mental fatigue and boosts cognitive performance. One thing that climate change, natural disasters, earthquakes, and floods, as well as epidemics and pandemics, teach us is that we are all residents of the same global village. Swami Vivekananda goes further to say that everything in the universe affects everything else in the universe. The separate existence of different objects, the boundaries, are the results of time, space, and causation. Eliminating these three, the finite becomes infinite. About a month ago, an image of Sri Ramakrishna was ceremonially inaugurated in Srinagar, Kashmir, in the Ramakrishna mission there. The ashram was started a long time ago in 1950s. I had been there in 86 for a month or more and visited that ashram. The presiding deity in Srinagar is Sri Devi, whose temple was established by Adi Shankaracharya on the top of a hill. Now, he also established there Sri Chakra. Our hostess, with whom we stayed in Srinagar, took us to a few shrines, including all these shrines which Swamiji visited. But we also went to a place called Pokribal. And I was most fascinated with this place. It was a spring below the mountain, that hill in the middle of Srinagar. And it was a spring with a small temple over the hill, over the spring. Now, in Kashmir, many natural places are worshipped rather than images. Like Shir Bhavani is also a natural spring. And Amarnath is a linga made of ice in a cave. So I saw this place the first time, but we had to see it from a distance because at that time there were rains and the temple was flooded. It was half immersed in water. So we couldn't actually go inside the temple and we couldn't go very near. But it was a charming place surrounded by jungle and tall chinar trees. Chinar is a kind of cedar with very large leaves. So I wanted to go there again and spend the night. And I was with another sannyasini, and Gita Pranaji, who is now in Bangalore. And she was agreed, fortunately, so we decided to come back 2 weeks later and spend the night outside. I spent the night outside, she spent the night inside the temple. And it gave me a chance to spend that night in nature. It was magical. And I really felt the benefit of meditating outside and hearing the sounds of the jungle around and no other sounds. Of course, when we went there, it was we had first time gone by car, and this second time we went, I wanted to go there by boat. It's at the end of the backwaters of the Jhelum River, which goes through Srinagar. And so we hired a boatman who paddled us there. And we started out in the afternoon, late afternoon, expecting we will spend the night. But when we were approaching, it became very dark. The sun had set, and the boatman got very nervous. On the way, we passed a few ghats and picturesque places, but now there were only tall grasses and swamp. And the boatman maybe was afraid of ghosts or something, but he was visibly shaken, and he didn't want to go on. He said he doesn't know the way. So I pointed to the light on the top of the temple, which we could see from that distance. And I said, we're going that way, so just keep on. And eventually, we reached near the temple, but we had to get out in the of the boat in the swamp. And we reached the boatman. As soon as we got out, he went back as fast as he could. And we reached only the compound of the temple. We didn't realize there was a compound wall. But we found a place which was broken in the corner, and we were able to climb over it and get inside. So somebody was inside, some watchman or somebody who lived near, and asked who was there. And we told him, oh, we're just some sadhus wanting to meditate here. So he didn't mind. We just went inside. And I took my place under a big chinar tree. Now, this place was interesting to me because the goddess Sri Devi, who resided on the top of the hill, was by legend supposed to come down in the early morning before dawn to have her bath in the spring at Pokribal. So I thought all night that the Devi is coming on her tiger, and maybe I'll be able to see her. So the whole night I waited in anticipation, meditating under the tree, and thinking all the time that she is coming on her tiger. Well, just before dawn, I heard a rustle behind the tree and turned around to see 2 yellow eyes. And I thought, surely her tiger has come and is going to eat me up. But after just a moment of my eyes staring at the yellow eyes, it seemed to retreat into the eyes seemed to retreat into the jungle, and I never saw the tiger. If it was a tiger, it might have been a big dog. Anyway, it was. I realized the great benefit of spending the night in the jungle, and I often, since then, like to meditate outside, and I can understand how Sri Ramakrishna used to like to meditate outside in the jungle. Now, one thing, the vibration is different. If it's not like the normal humdrum sounds that you get inside. Now, in Kashmir, we went to many places, visited by Swamiji. And I was thinking very often of that time that I had outside in that forest. Now, I think I didn't have any fear at that time, and that's what also impressed me. I felt that the jungle around me was a friendly place, and I once read a saying by Mark Twain. He said, "Do the thing that you fear the most, and death of fears uncertain." So I then thought, well, what if you have a fear of dying? Are you supposed to then die and to kill the fear of death? Anyway, so we visited these places that Swamiji visited. At Amarnath, sadhus take a dip in ice-cold water of a spring before a stream, before entering the cave. And I shuddered to think of it, so I didn't do it. But I noticed that the sadhus smear their bodies with the ash from their dhuni fires, and that kind of insulates them from heat or cold. Otherwise, they live naked. One can live naked at even 16,000 feet in Gangotri by practicing pranayama. If you have faith and engage in spiritual practice, you can ignore physical discomfort of cold and heat. A year ago, the Indian Army found a sadhu in the snow at minus 40 degrees centigrade. And there was a film of him posted on the internet. I saw that film. It was very impressive. The sadhu wasn't wearing many clothes. You could see his arms bare. And he was sitting comfortably in meditation in that cold. Now, why then do sadhus go to the Himalayas and other remote places in the mountains as at the seashore? The uninterrupted view of the starry sky at night gives one a glimpse of infinity. In open space, you focus on the sounds around you, not only those inside your head. The Upanishad says, under the control of the imperishable one, O Gargi, the sun and the moon are held in their respective places. The Himalayas sing his glories. He is called in the Vedas Ritam, the law. He keeps the manifold in their respective places, the planets in their orbits. Specific frequencies of sound are linked to specific patterns in numerology and geometry, and are said to have effects on the body and mind, such as 174 hertz relieves pain and stress. 285 hertz can heal tissues and organs. 396 hertz liberates the listener from fear and guilt. Sounds produce images. They can also kill people as well as heal them. Sounds are affecting our hormones all the time. It or manifestation of our chosen ideal. As for producing images, ideas, when viewed through fine nerves, take forms and figures and appear as living, tangible entities. We can prepare the ground by bhakti yoga or karma yoga, but we can't rub the lamp to make spiritual experiences happen. Mantras work within a material, even subtle material world. Now, in this book that I read of Mahendranath's, he analyzes space and time. We hear that a person or a sage hears an impersonal voice. Some incorporeal being has spoken out or revealed the truth to a person, which is heard only by that person. One can hear it through a cloud or thunder. How does the voice come to the person? As it is external, or is it internal? These voices must be affected by atmospheric conditions, but there's another form of sound called Vani, which is independent of atmospheric conditions. This is given in an explanation by Mahendranath. I have trouble with my throat, excuse me. I'll take one of these things. Mahendranath writes, here it comes. The action takes place in the deeper layers of the nerves and internal, but the nature of the organs being outward, we feel that the action has taken place outside. When ideas are viewed through the fine, what he calls subtle nerves, they take forms, and figures appear as living entities. Now, Mahendra calls it nerves, but that's for want of another expression. What he means actually is there's something more subtle than the gross nerves that that we are used to expressing. Now, Mahendranath describes what he understood by seeing Swamiji lecture in London. He writes, well, he doesn't first admit that it's Swamiji. He says, such a person leaves his gross body, and in this subtle body, his voice becomes extremely sonorous, sweet, and melodious, as if piercing the heart. The emanating center becomes so powerful as to draw the receiving center to the very source of emanation. Mahendranath says, this is observed when a person is in the incorporeal stage, which he supposes Swamiji is, and projecting Vani upon the hearers. He said, I personally observed such phenomena when a highly developed spiritual person, means Swamiji, gave his benedictions in Sanskrit to an English audience. The audience, without knowing the meaning of the Sanskrit words, pushed back their chairs on which they were sitting in the twinkling of an eye, and all knelt down on the carpeted floor in quite a reverential way to receive the benedictions. Sister Christine was questioned by a monk about her understanding of Swamiji's teaching. He asked, Sister, how is it possible for you people of the West to record his teachings, which are the essence of Vedanta philosophy? In order to understand Shankara's philosophy, one must have a knowledge of other philosophical schools that Shankara refuted. Besides, Swamiji jumped from one thought to another, making it difficult to link his ideas together. How could you have understood him when he spoke in Thousand Island Park? She answered him, You are talking like an ignorant person. You do not know who taught us Vedanta. It was Swamiji. He lifted our minds to a higher level of consciousness so that we could understand him. That is how we were able to understand his teachings. Now the question arises that causation makes the manifestation, but causation is a compound of two elements, time and space. The duration of the day marks out the period of occurrence of an incident in a certain period of the day. But that gives no notion of the original idea of time. The succession of ideas in the cognition of one's own mind brings out the notion of time. In deep meditation or deep thinking, we very often say that the person is thinking for 1 hour, but actually, by seeing a watch, it is found that it was only 20 minutes. Mahendranath claims that the amount of energy spent in the succession of ideas gives us the notion of time, and that we can experience. Time, he says, in its equilibrium state cannot be measured. But how can there be time? Questioning, how can there be time in an equilibrium state? Then it doesn't exist. In ordinary conversation, the position of the sun is taken to be the measure of time. In Indian mythology, the sun is described as the offspring of Mahakala, or eternal time. Also in Greek mythology, Apollo, the god of the sun, is called the god of Cronus. Cronus is also the Greek god of time. It's interesting how across cultures the same symbol is used. Now there's an interesting clock in the Prague. I don't know if any of you have seen or heard of it, but I was very much interested in it. This clock, it's a large wooden clock now outside of a building, and it shows the position of the planets at any moment of time. So it not only shows the time of day, but also the position of planets. And this astronomical clock has a skeleton on it. Now, when I saw that, I thought, well, this is exactly what we also think, that it is the Mahakala, this death that measures time. This skeleton is what, or this figure of a skeleton, is what moves the hands of the clock. So very symbolic. How does sound affect us emotionally? That also is a part of this idea of how sound affects us. Sound waves in their particular length and amplitude, and the energy or picture formed by the vibration, the life actually of speech and conversation, depends entirely on the formation of pictures. We have an attracting voice, an endearing voice, a repulsive voice, a threatening voice, and the same person can express all of these emotions. And you can notice the effect of such emotions expressed with speech on animals. If you speak in an endearing voice, an affectionate voice, an animal will come towards you, a dog or a cat. And if you speak in a threatening voice, they'll naturally run away. So the tone of our voice also will have an effect, that's vibration of our voices. Now, most of us realize how much sound around us can be unpleasant, like traffic sounds, and we are not conscious of everything that enters our ears. It can change our mood even without our knowing the source. And it can even affect our immune system. Sound is our primary warning sense. Your body immediately releases higher levels of cortisol, which increases our heartbeat when we hear a sudden noise. Animals underwater, which we never think of, are much more affected to the amplitude because the amplitude is more underwater. Ideas and words are then inseparable, nama rupa, thought and form. My words produce an effect on you. To show the power of words, Swami Vivekananda gives an example of one man calling another man a fool. And that man who's called a fool will stand up and clench his fist and deal a blow to that first man. So the words that we speak are so powerful. Now, the material source of all names and ideas is called in Indian philosophical term, sphota. Now, sphota is something, it's also a word that's used in Greek philosophy. It's the bursting forth of a sound. That bursting forth is called sphota. The sphota is often referred to as Om, the mother of all names and forms in creation. It is also Nada Brahman, I should say. Now, in the Devi Mahatmyam, the reference is made to the Brahmara, the bee, comparing the mother to the bee, because the mother power produces this sound Om, which vibrating sound forms the whole creation. In the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, we read, quote, "The Divine Mother revealed to me that she has become everything. She showed me that everything is full of consciousness. Nada is Brahman, is Om, the source of all names and forms. Nada is formed by the rhythmical vibration from which all other manifestations come." Now, science talks only of the vibrations in air, not the subtle vibrations, the nada or cosmic living force which creates this universe. And speaking of bees, the buzzing of bees causes flowers to shake off their pollen. The vibrations created by bees have been linked to various therapeutic benefits, including stress reduction and anxiety relief. Subtle but constant hum of a beehive has the power to soothe and calm. The vibrational frequency of bees can heal human tissue and can lower cortisol levels, the hormone associated with stress. Now, ancient Indians were very particular about the chanting of a hymn or mantra in a rhythmical way, since it will produce a definite figure or concept. They were very particular about the intonation. The energy is converted into idea, and the idea into form. The chanting of Vedic hymns and mantras will bring out a complete figure of the devas or deities. Rhythmical vibrations will bring out a form, and every cadence of music has a special deity with particular color and form. Those who know music will know that the ragas and raginis are associated with various deities, like Raga Bhairav is associated with Shiva, Bhairavi with Parvati, Raga Saraswati with the goddess Saraswati, Kaushiki with Devi Kaushiki. In Indian classical music, every note has a definite picture and form, known as its presiding deity. The seven swaras, the sounds of the scale, are associated each with a different deity. Now, when the vibration of music is dissonant or discordant, the figure of the deity can break down and crumble to pieces. Only by proper intonation or rhythmical vibration of sound waves, a definite figure or object is formed. When the music stops, the form will last as long as the amount of energy manifested by the musician. In Ujjain, there is a temple, a Shakti pit, called Har Siddhi. I wanted to show a picture of that. On the rim of the dome of the temple inside, the letters of the Sanskrit alphabet are painted. Below, images of the goddesses that they represent. Each goddess is represented by a different letter of the Sanskrit alphabet. Now, Mahendranath wanted to point out that the common notion is that science and metaphysics are two different entities. Science dealing with practical life and metaphysics dealing with imagery. Actually, imaginary aspects of life. Actually, it's a matter of grosser and finer. And this is the main point of that book, is that I appreciate it. It's not that that's what is scientific is separate. It has every philosophical backing of it in Indian philosophy. And actually, it's a matter of grosser and finer, all coming from the unmanifested state, which is beyond knowledge and understanding, because knowledge means bifurcation and divisibility. But I marvel at Mahendranath's knowledge of science at a time when even quantum theory was not yet invented, not yet discovered. It was actually on the brink of being discovered, so maybe he got wind of some of it. That in this book, he tries to show how sound creates our world and brings science and spirituality together to explain it. And I had also a short video clip which expresses that infinite feeling that we get in nature and the sounds of nature, and how it has a spiritual effect upon us. So that I think the time is about over now, no? I will conclude now. Thank you. It was helter-skelter, but I just wanted to share these ideas with you that I was thinking about.
Mataji, the heartbeat of the mother
Yes.
soothes the baby?
Yes, yes. I don't know if everybody could hear you. Yeah. The heartbeat of the mother soothes the baby. Is that right? Yeah. All things seem to be connected. That is the feeling that I get from this study. That we can't take for granted even any sound, any vibration in this world, because, as Swamiji said, everything is interconnected. There's nothing in this world that can happen without affecting everything else in this world. Nothing moves without moving everything else. It's something to think about. Perhaps it makes us more careful.
Yeah, thank you, Mataji. She stayed up late working on this, and yeah, and got together a nice presentation for us. I'm sorry we couldn't arrange for the.
Yeah, I'm sorry we couldn't arrange for the visual aids. That would have enhanced it tremendously. But I think I think they can be added.
They'll add it to, yes, to people who watch it on YouTube.
Yeah,
Which,
because I had a very good photograph
Yeah.
of that Harsiddhi Mandir temple, in which you could clearly see the painted images of all those gods and goddesses with the Sanskrit letters below them.
So I want to go through our schedule a little bit for the rest of the month, if I can remember everything. It's quite a busy month for us. Swami Isha Dhyanananda, the young Swami from Sacramento who came here once before, will be here just for a few days. We didn't schedule anything special for him, but he'll be here tomorrow until Thursday. Mataji will be leaving Thursday. I'll be leaving Tuesday and meeting Swami Sarvadevanandaji. And next weekend, Jeffrey Long will be speaking. And then Swami Sarvadevanandaji and I will return next Tuesday. And he'll speak that Sunday and stay Monday and go back Tuesday. And Swami Chidbrahmananda will be here the end of the month. For several days he'll also speak that last Sunday, and Swami Yogatmanandaji will be coming from Pittsburgh that last weekend, and there'll be a special Sunday night talk from him. Then there's another Swami that none of us know, whose name is Atmagyanananda. No, not me, from a different tradition. He's part of this Bharat Sevashram. And he's going to be staying with us for some days also. We didn't arrange anything yet for that. And 4th of July, in addition to our regular program, this Milindra Aikar, who has performed before on violin, is wonderful, with his son, Yagnesh. They'll both be here, so we'll have a concert then. So anyhow, check your the website for all of the programs and everything, and hope that you can all come for as many things as possible. And again, our thanks to Prabuddhaprana for a very interesting talk. And now please join us for some refreshment in the basement.